When my daughter Lily told me she was getting married, my heart swelled with pride. I'd raised her alone after her mother passed away when she was just 6. Everything I did, every late night at work, every penny I saved, it was for her. But as she grew older, she started pulling away. By college, she hardly called. And when she did, it was mostly to ask for money. Still, I never said no. After all, I was just a plumber, as she liked to remind her fancy college friends. She had no idea that the little plumbing business she thought I ran was only the front. I'd built an entire property company over the years, quietly, without showing off. I was worth about $15 million, but I never told anyone. I didn't want her to value me for my money. I wanted her to value me for who I was. One afternoon, she came home all excited. "Dad, we've set the date," she said. "I can't wait for you to meet Mark's family. They're, well, very elegant." I could already hear the hesitation in her voice. "Elegant," she said, like I wasn't. I smiled. "That's wonderful, sweetheart. I'll be there." But the next week I received a text. It read, "Dad, maybe it's better if you don't come to the rehearsal dinner. Mark's parents want a certain vibe." I stared at the message for a long time. A plumber didn't fit their vibe, I guess? I simply replied, "Sure, honey, whatever makes you happy." The truth was, I'd do anything to keep her happy, even if that meant standing outside her world. But things changed a week before the wedding. My lawyer called me, panicked. "Mr. Harris, we just noticed a withdrawal request from your business account. $800,000. Signed by you?" "That's impossible," I said. Then he sent me a photo of the signature. My stomach twisted. It was mine, but not mine. Someone had forged it. And the name on the transfer? Lily, my own daughter. I didn't want to believe it. Maybe she made a mistake. Maybe someone tricked her. But when I confronted her that evening, she didn't even deny it. "I needed it for the wedding, Dad," she said coldly. "Mark's parents think you're broke. I couldn't let them find out I'm marrying into nothing." That word, nothing, hit harder than a punch. "Lily," I said quietly, "you forged my signature?" She crossed her arms. "You have money, Dad. I've seen your accounts. I thought you were hiding it. I was just taking what I deserve." I looked at her for a long time. The daughter I'd raised with love and sacrifice stood there. A stranger. "You'll regret this," I said softly. "No, Dad, you will, because after this wedding, I won't need you anymore." But she was wrong, because that wedding would be the day she learned everything about who I really was and what true wealth meant. The morning of Lily's wedding arrived with golden sunlight spilling through my window. I stood in front of the mirror adjusting my old suit. It wasn't fancy, just the one I wore for special occasions. I had no intention of embarrassing her. I only wanted to see my daughter walk down the aisle. But deep down, I knew the truth would come out that day. I had planned something quietly, something that would show Lily and her new in-laws who I really was, without a single boastful word. When I reached the grand hotel where the ceremony was being held, I could see luxury everywhere. Crystal chandeliers, imported flowers, tables lined with gold-rimmed plates. It was beautiful, yes, but it felt cold. As I entered, a wedding planner rushed up to me. "Sir, are you the plumber?" she asked in a polite but distant tone. "No," I replied calmly. "I'm the father of the bride." Her eyes widened slightly. Then she forced a smile and pointed toward the back. "Family is gathering over there." I walked in, and immediately I saw Lily in her wedding dress. Stunning, glowing, and yet different. She didn't hug me. She didn't even look happy to see me. "Dad," she whispered through her teeth, "please just sit quietly, okay? Don't make things weird." My throat tightened. "Sure, sweetheart." Then Mark's parents arrived, elegant, perfectly dressed, dripping in money. His mother looked me up and down, her lips curving into a small, judgmental smile. "Oh, you must be the plumber," she said. I smiled politely. "I fix things. Yes, you could say that."
They laughed softly, clearly assuming I was joking to cover my embarrassment. I didn't correct them. The ceremony began. The music swelled. Everyone turned to see Lily walking down the aisle, radiant. My heart swelled with pride and pain. When it was my turn to give her away, I took her hand. "You look beautiful," I whispered. She nodded quickly, eyes darting toward the guests, afraid I'd say something that would reveal my humble background. I let her go, silently. After the ceremony, the reception began with champagne and laughter. People toasted, music played, and I stood quietly near the back sipping water. Then, as the speeches began, Mark's father took the microphone. "We're so honored to welcome Lily into our family. And of course, a special thank you to her father for raising such a wonderful daughter, a hard-working man from humble beginnings." Everyone clapped. Lily smiled awkwardly, and I felt something break inside me, but I didn't show it. I waited. Because soon the manager from the hotel came rushing to the couple's table, looking uneasy. "Excuse me, sir," he said to Mark. "There's an issue with the payment for the venue. The check bounced." The entire hall went quiet. "What?" Mark said, his face paling. "That's impossible. Lily handled that." Lily's face turned white. "I paid with my father's account. There must be some mistake." I slowly stepped forward. "No mistake," I said quietly. "That account doesn't exist anymore." Every eye turned toward me. "Dad, what do you mean?" Lily gasped. "I mean, I closed it last week, after you forged my signature." Gasps rippled through the room. Mark's parents exchanged shocked looks. Lily's voice shook. "Dad, please, not here." But I didn't raise my voice. I didn't scold her. I simply pulled a checkbook from my jacket pocket. Calmly, I wrote a new check, signed it, and handed it to the manager. "Here, this should cover the entire wedding." The manager blinked at the number and nodded quickly. "Yes, sir. Thank you." Mark's father leaned forward. "Excuse me, sir, but, that's a lot of zeros." I smiled faintly. "Yes, 15 million of them, to be exact. It's from the sale of my last property company." Silence filled the room. I turned to Lily, who stood frozen, tears welling in her eyes. "I thought you were a poor plumber," I said softly, "but all this time I just wanted to live simple. Money never mattered to me. You did." Her lip trembled. "Dad, I didn't know. I just wanted to impress them." "And in trying to impress them, you lost sight of who you were, and who loved you for real." She broke down, sobbing. Mark stood beside her, unsure what to do. His parents were horrified, not because of my wealth, but because of their earlier arrogance. I placed my hand gently on Lily's shoulder. "I forgive you. But understand this, you never needed money to be special. You already were." Then I turned to leave, but Lily ran after me. "Dad, please, don't go. I'm so sorry." Her voice cracked, filled with regret. I stopped at the door, turned and smiled gently. "Start your marriage with honesty, Lily. That's worth more than anything I could ever give you." I walked out of the hall, the murmurs and whispers fading behind me. Outside, the evening air was cool and quiet. I looked up at the sky and smiled. For years, I'd hidden who I was to protect her from greed, but that day, the truth had finally set both of us free. She'd learn her lesson, not through punishment, but through love. And that, I thought, was the richest gift I could ever give my daughter.
That night, after the wedding disaster, I went home quietly. The city lights flickered outside my car window, but my heart felt heavy. I wasn't angry anymore, just sad. Sad that my daughter had grown up in a world that valued image more than heart. I didn't hear from Lily for days. The news about the wedding spread quickly online. "Bride's father exposes $15 million secret" became a trending headline. People were more interested in the money than the message. But for me, all I wanted was my daughter back. One rainy evening, I was fixing a pipe in my kitchen when I heard a knock. When I opened the door, there she was, Lily. Her eyes were red, her makeup smudged. She looked nothing like the proud bride from that weekend. "Dad," she whispered, trembling, "I messed up." I didn't say anything. I just stepped aside and let her in. She sat at the table silently, then broke down. "Mark left," she said through tears. "His parents think I married him for money, and now they know I forged your signature. They called off the honeymoon." I listened quietly. "I lost everything, Dad. My friends won't talk to me. I hurt you. And for what? To impress people who never cared?" I took a slow breath and said softly, "Maybe now you see what real value means. Not the house, not the car, not the bank account, just truth." She nodded, crying harder. "I don't deserve your forgiveness." I smiled gently. "Forgiveness isn't something you earn, sweetheart. It's something given out of love." She looked up, her eyes wide. "You still love me? After everything?" "You're my daughter," I said simply. "That doesn't change." From that day on, something changed in Lily. She came by often, helped around the house, even learned plumbing with me, though she was terrible at it. But it wasn't about fixing pipes. It was about fixing trust. Slowly, we rebuilt what was lost. One afternoon, about 6 months later, she brought a folder. "Dad, I've been working on something," she said. Inside were sketches, blueprints, and a proposal. "It's a charity project. I want to start a foundation to help trade workers' families, plumbers, electricians, construction people, give their kids a chance at college. I want to name it after Mom." My throat tightened. "Lily, that's beautiful." She smiled shyly. "But I can't do it alone. Will you be my partner?" For a moment, I couldn't speak. I just nodded, eyes wet. That was the proudest moment of my life. Over the next year, we built the foundation together. It grew faster than we expected, because it came from the heart. Reporters tried to write about the rich plumber's daughter story again, but this time the focus was different. People weren't talking about money anymore. They were talking about redemption. One day, as we cut the ribbon for our new community center, Lily stood at the podium, her voice steady and full of emotion. "A year ago, I was ashamed of where I came from. I thought wealth defined worth. But my father taught me something priceless. That love and honesty can build more than money ever could." The crowd cheered, and I felt tears sting my eyes. When she stepped down, she hugged me tightly. "Thank you, Dad," she whispered, "for not giving up on me." "Always. That's what fathers do." That night, as we walked along the beach near my old house, the one she once wanted for her wedding, Lily stopped and looked out at the waves. "You know," she said softly, "I used to think your life was small, but now I see it's peaceful, real. I want that too." I smiled. "Then you've already found it." The moonlight shimmered on the water as she leaned her head on my shoulder. For the first time in years, I felt complete. The house, the cars, the businesses, they meant nothing compared to that single moment. My $15 million secret had never been about money. It was about understanding what truly mattered. And now my daughter finally understood it too.
2 years passed since that unforgettable wedding. Life had taken a calmer rhythm. The foundation was thriving, helping hundreds of families, and Lily had become a completely different person. She spent her days visiting work sites, talking to people, listening to their stories. The same girl who once cared about fancy dresses now wore jeans and dusty boots. She was happy, truly happy. I often watched her from the office window, laughing with the workers, her eyes bright with purpose. It reminded me so much of her mother, kind, strong, and full of heart. One afternoon, while we were going through donations, Lily suddenly said, "Dad, I've been thinking about going back to school, maybe study business management properly. I want to grow this foundation the right way." I smiled. "That's a great idea, sweetheart. You've already learned more from life than any classroom could teach you. But if that's what you want, I'll support you." She hugged me, her eyes shining. "You always do." Months passed, and things were good. Until one morning, I woke up feeling unusually tired. I brushed it off as age, but the exhaustion grew worse. I went to the doctor, and after several tests, the words hit me like a thunderstorm: Stage 2 heart failure. I sat in silence, hearing only the ticking clock on the wall. I didn't want to tell Lily, not yet. She had worked so hard to rebuild her life. I didn't want to burden her. But secrets I learned long ago always find their way out. One evening, as I was resting in my chair, she came home early. "Dad, you look pale," she said, worry spreading across her face. "I'm fine," I lied, but she wasn't convinced. The next morning, she found the medical report on my desk. When I woke up, she was sitting quietly beside me, holding the paper. Her eyes were full of tears. "Why didn't you tell me?" she whispered. "Because I didn't want you to stop living your life," I said gently. "I'm not afraid of dying, Lily. I've lived more than I ever hoped for." She grabbed my hand, shaking her head. "No, Dad, you're not going anywhere. Not yet. We still have so much to do. I still need you." For the next several months, she became my strength. She drove me to every appointment, learned about my treatment, and refused to let me give up. "You taught me what love means," she said once. "Now it's my turn to show you." Her words healed more than any medicine could. Slowly, my health stabilized. One evening, after a long day at the foundation, we sat on the porch watching the sunset. "You know," I said, smiling faintly, "I used to think my purpose ended when I retired. But then you came back, and I realized it was just the beginning." She rested her head on my shoulder. "You saved me, Dad." I chuckled softly. "No, sweetheart, you saved yourself." As the sun dipped below the horizon, she said something that made my heart swell. "I've been thinking about expanding the foundation internationally. Maybe start branches in other countries. I want your name on it. The Harris Hope Project." I looked at her, speechless. "Lily, that's more than I ever dreamed. It's your legacy. Not the money, the kindness." I smiled, tears blurring my vision. "Then let's build it together." And we did. Over the next year, we worked side by side, traveling, speaking, helping. Our stories spread, not about wealth, but about redemption and forgiveness. People from all over wrote letters saying it inspired them to reconnect with their own families. And one morning, as we were standing in front of a newly built community home surrounded by smiling families, Lily looked at me and whispered, "You were right, Dad. Money fades, but love, that lasts forever." I nodded slowly, looking out at the sea of faces we'd helped. "That's my girl," I said softly. In that moment, I realized something powerful. My 15 million secret wasn't just about fortune. It was a seed that grew into compassion, healing, and hope. And through Lily, it would keep growing long after I was gone.
Several years had passed since Lily and I transformed our lives together. The Harris Hope Project had grown internationally, touching thousands of families across continents. From small villages to bustling cities, our message of honesty, compassion, and love resonated with countless people. I often looked at Lily and marveled at how far she had come. The girl who once thought money defined her worth had blossomed into a woman of purpose, grace, and unwavering integrity. One afternoon, as we prepared for the opening of a new youth center in a remote town, Lily paused and looked at me thoughtfully. "Dad, I was thinking," she said, "all these years, you've taught me more than I could ever learn in school or business. Your lessons, they are the real legacy. I want us to make sure they live on, even after we're gone." I smiled, my chest swelling with pride. "You're right. It's not the buildings, the money, or the awards. It's the values we leave behind." That evening, we hosted a ceremony to dedicate the new center. Local families, children, and volunteers gathered. Lily stepped up to the podium, her voice strong and steady. "I used to think my life depended on wealth, approval, and appearances," she said. "But my father showed me the truth. Love, honesty, and compassion are priceless. These principles can change lives, and that is the real inheritance we leave to the next generation." The crowd cheered. Parents hugged their children, volunteers wiped tears, and I watched my daughter stand tall, confident, and full of purpose. It reminded me of the first time I forgave her at the wedding, how far we had come. That night, as we walked along the shoreline near our beach house, Lily turned to me. "Dad, do you ever think about the old days, when I judged you for being just a plumber?" I chuckled softly. "Sometimes, but I'm glad you did, because it led us here." She smiled, resting her head on my shoulder. "I never want to take anything for granted again. Not money, not time, not our bond." A soft breeze carried the scent of salt and flowers. I felt at peace. I realized that all the trials, the mistakes, and the lessons had led to this moment, where love and understanding weren't just words, but lived experiences. Years later, as I grew older, Lily took the lead in running the foundation, while I offered guidance and shared memories. One sunny afternoon, she brought me a small journal, worn at the edges. "Dad, I've been writing down all your stories, your wisdom, your mistakes, your victories. I want our future generations to read it, to learn from you." I took the journal, my hands trembling slightly. "Lily, you've already turned my life into a story worth telling." She hugged me tightly. "No, Dad, we did it together. And this is just the beginning. Your lessons, our work, our love, they'll live on long after us." That night, as we watched the stars from the porch, I whispered softly, "I never imagined life could be this full, that my $15 million secret would turn into something far greater than money, into hope, love, and a legacy that truly matters." She held my hand, her grip firm and warm. "And I promise, Dad, we'll keep it alive, forever." I smiled, closing my eyes for a moment, feeling the gentle rhythm of life around us. Through her, my lessons, my values, and my love would continue, guiding the next generation, shaping lives, and proving that the greatest fortune one can leave behind is a heart full of love and a life full of integrity. And in that moment, I knew our story wasn't just ours anymore. It belonged to everyone we had touched, and it would keep growing, like the waves on the shore, endless, powerful, and enduring.
The following year, the Harris Hope Project had expanded into 3 new countries. Each new location brought fresh challenges, language barriers, cultural differences, and unforeseen logistical issues, but Lily and I faced them together, growing stronger as a team. One early morning, we were in a small village preparing to inaugurate a new community center. Children ran around laughing, their faces bright with anticipation. Lily knelt down to tie a boy's shoelace, her hands gentle and patient. "Dad, look at them," she whispered. "This is what it's all about." I nodded, my heart full. "You've turned your life into something beautiful." As the ceremony began, I watched Lily speak to the crowd with grace. "We are here to provide opportunities, to empower families who work hard every day and deserve hope," she said. "My father taught me that real wealth is love, integrity, and service. That is our inheritance and our promise to every child here." Applause echoed across the village square, and I felt a swell of pride. Yet life wasn't without its tests. One evening, as we drove back to the city after a long trip, Lily's phone rang. It was her old college friend, the one who had always judged her for her humble background. "Lily," she said, voice dripping with sarcasm, "so now you're the rich philanthropist's daughter. Looks like your dad's little secret worked out. But don't forget, some people never change." Lily frowned but didn't answer immediately. Then she took a deep breath. "You're right about one thing," she said calmly. "Some people never change. But I did. I learned that respect, honesty, and love matter more than money or appearances. I hope one day you do too." She hung up and turned to me. "Dad, I almost didn't know how to handle that. I thought the past would haunt me forever." I smiled, placing a hand on her shoulder. "The past shapes us, Lily, but it doesn't define us. You've learned, grown, and created something far greater than wealth." Weeks later, during a board meeting for the foundation, we discussed a new scholarship program for children of trade workers worldwide. Lily proposed naming it after her late mother. "Dad, Mom wanted children to have a chance at education, no matter their background. Let's make it happen," she said, eyes shining. I nodded. It's perfect, a true legacy of love. That evening, as we walked along the beach near our home, the sky painted with shades of pink and orange, Lily turned to me with a thoughtful expression. "Dad," she said softly, "do you ever think about what life would have been if we hadn't gone through all the mistakes, the lies, the wedding chaos?" I chuckled lightly. "Sometimes, but I'm glad we did. Without it, you wouldn't be the woman you are today, and I wouldn't have the joy of seeing you grow into your full potential." She leaned against me, her head resting on my shoulder. "You know, Dad, I used to envy people who had fancy lifestyles. Now, I envy people who have clarity, purpose, and love in their hearts. You gave me that." My chest tightened with emotion. "And you carried it forward, Lily. That's the greatest gift a parent can hope for." The following months were filled with travel, planning, and expanding the foundation's reach. At every new location, children ran toward Lily, calling her Auntie Lily, while parents thanked her with tears in their eyes. I watched quietly, a smile tugging at my lips. One day, as we were signing the final papers for a new branch in a distant city, Lily paused and looked at me. "Dad, remember when I thought you were just a plumber? I was so blind." I laughed softly. "Yes, and I never corrected you until the right moment." She nodded. "It wasn't just about money, was it?" "No," I said. "It was about understanding what truly matters. You did that. We did that." That night, as we sat on the porch overlooking the calm sea, Lily whispered, "Dad, I hope when you're gone, our work continues, that our love and lessons live on." I took her hand and held it firmly. "They will, Lily, because you've understood them, you've lived them, and you'll teach them. That's immortality in its truest form. The waves lapped gently against the shore, and I felt a deep sense of peace. For years, I had hidden my wealth to protect her from greed, and through trials, mistakes, and lessons, she had grown into someone wiser, stronger, and compassionate. Together, we had built more than a foundation. We had built a legacy of heart, and that legacy would never fade. And in the quiet of the night, under the endless sky, I realized that my $15 million secret had created something far greater than I could have ever imagined. A father-daughter bond that could withstand anything, and a life that would inspire generations to come.
Years had passed, and the Harris Hope Project had grown into a worldwide movement. From remote villages to major cities, thousands of children and families had been touched by the Foundation's work. Lily had become a leader not only in philanthropy, but also as a role model for honesty, perseverance, and love. One crisp morning, as I sipped tea on the porch, Lily came running toward me, holding a large envelope. "Dad, you need to see this," she said, excitement in her voice. Inside were letters, photographs, and testimonials from families around the world. Children had gone to college because of our scholarships. Parents had learned new trades, and entire communities had flourished. Tears welled in my eyes. This is more than I ever dreamed," I whispered. Lily smiled, brushing my shoulder gently. "It's ours, Dad. It's what we built together. But the best part? It's just the beginning." That afternoon, the Foundation hosted its 10-year anniversary celebration. Volunteers, families, and supporters gathered, and I watched Lily speak to the crowd with unwavering confidence. "A decade ago," she said, "I was ashamed of who I was and where I came from. My father taught me the value of honesty, love, and compassion. Today, we carry those lessons forward to every corner of the world." Applause erupted, but my gaze was fixed on her. She was no longer the insecure girl who worried about appearances. She was a woman of purpose, carrying our shared legacy with grace. After the ceremony, we walked along the quiet beach near my old house. "Dad," she said softly, "I've been thinking about the future. I want to ensure the Foundation continues even when we're gone. I want our story, our lessons, our love to inspire generations to come." I nodded, my heart full. "Then teach them everything you know. Pass it on. That's immortality, Lily." She paused, her eyes glistening in the sunset. "Dad, I want you to know, your secret, your patience, your love, it changed everything. Not just my life, but the lives of thousands. You taught me that the greatest wealth is a heart full of compassion." I smiled faintly, tears streaking my cheeks. "And you, Lily, proved that love can transform mistakes into wisdom, and lessons into legacies." As the sun dipped below the horizon, we sat side by side, watching the waves crash gently on the shore. I realized that my $15 million secret had never been about money. It was about teaching, guiding, and loving in ways that created ripples across generations. In that serene moment, I felt an overwhelming sense of peace. Everything had come full circle. The daughter I had once thought I might lose had become my greatest ally, my pride, and the living embodiment of everything I had hoped to pass on. And as the stars emerged in the night sky, we made a silent promise to each other. No matter what the future held, the lessons, love, and legacy we had created would live on forever. Years later, when I quietly passed away in my sleep, Lily carried on the Foundation with unwavering dedication. She expanded its reach, telling our story as a testament to the power of love, forgiveness, and integrity. People no longer talked about the rich plumber or the secret fortune. They spoke of hope, compassion, and the extraordinary bond between a father and daughter. And every time she watched a child take their first step toward a brighter future, she whispered my name, and I felt alive in her love.
The story of the Harris family was no longer just about wealth. It was about hearts changed, lives transformed, and a legacy that would continue to inspire, heal, and uplift for generations yet to come.